Ladies, gents, blockchain enthusiasts, hello and welcome. On behalf of Blockstart, Blockchain Lithuania, and BCCS Cluster, I'd like to welcome you to the Meet and Greet Blockchain Trends event here at Rocket Vilnius 2022. I'm Dom. I'm a founder of Unit 370, an advisory boutique, and also a co-founder of Delta Biosciences. For those wondering what I'm doing here today is I'm going to be your MC, Master of Ceremonies. And the reason I was invited to be your MC, because I was asking too many questions about blockchain. I've been telling people, how can we put drug discovery on a blockchain? How can we finance new medicines through blockchain? And I've been also asking, how can we leverage the potential of blockchain in crisis mitigation, geopolitical risk, and towards implementing sustainable development goals. And so the answer of the organizers was, Dom, come here today and you'll find out. So that's what precisely we're going to do. Today's agenda is threefold. First of all, we will hear from two fantastic speakers who will give us a presentation about the latest trends in blockchain. Secondly, we will have a review of Blockstart, a fantastic 3-year European-supported acceleration program. And finally, we will get to hear from some people in the Lithuanian blockchain community, and we will also have an open mic, which some of you will be able to take on and pitch us ideas. In addition to this, because today's event is about a community and solidarity within that community, I would also like us to think about solidarity with a community that really needs it today. And it's our partners in Ukraine who are currently holding up the final frontier of democracy in the East, defending themselves, ourselves, and our world order from an unwavered and unjustified attack from the Kremlin, a war they did not want, they did not seek, they did not start. So we call upon you today to try and see if we can all together help our Ukrainian partners. And we've identified a couple of ways of how to do this. So please note the organizations, the QR codes, which are here on the screen, as well as scattered across the conference room. And they all accept cryptocurrencies. So there's literally no reason for us not to pitch in, and we can help our brothers in the East. Having said this, I would like to shift the attention back to us here in this room. We would like to get to know each other better, and I think that because of the pandemic, most of us already know what Slido is. But for those who don't, it's an interactive polling platform where we can see and find out little bits about our audience today. So let me invite everybody to either scan the QR code or follow the link and go on to the Blockstart, where I will ask you 2 questions for starters to get everybody warmed up. And so the first question I'm going to be asking you once you log in, and we will shortly see it on the screen as well, is what are your expectations for this event? And I would like you all to be honest, because perhaps there's a way for us to meet those expectations. It's a matchmaking event after all. So let me give you a couple of seconds. Broaden your knowledge. I think that will happen. Network. We have a part for that. Understand how blockchain technology could be used. I think that might happen. I'm here for the same reason, drug discovery and blockchain. That's my objective for today. Food. There's a little bit of that. Meet and greet. Yes, sir or ma'am. And something along the same lines, but networking seems to be the really big goal, with learning coming in as close second. Now, let's shift the gear into a second question. Is this an audience of amateurs or pros? So the question to you is, how well do you know blockchain from 0 to hero? Hero represented by 10 in this scale which we have. A couple of more seconds for people to complete it. For those of us who are not so tech-friendly, perhaps. And whenever ready, with the technical team, we'll look at the results together. Or maybe, yes. So a strong 8 that's where our average lies for today. So it's an advanced crowd with some beginners. Nevertheless, be friendly to each other. Talk about blockchain in the most simplistic terms. For those who don't get it, for example, like myself, re-explain it. Say it as if I was a 7-year-old child, and if that doesn't work, try talking to me as if I was a dog. But we are all here for the same reason, to learn, to understand, and to make new opportunities. And that's what we're going to do today. So enough of me playing around. I'd like to kick off the event by presenting the first keynote by Mr. Anthony Welfare today, who will speak to us about status quo and future trends. And believe me when I say, Anthony is one of the most influential figures in commercial blockchain in this day. So throughout his career, he's got over 50 blockchain technology projects on various platforms under his belt. He's the author of an amazing book, Commercializing Blockchain Strategic Applications in the Real World. Some of his other career highlights include being an innovation strategy director at Oracle, where he developed their go-to-market strategy for blockchain apps in the EMEA. He also served as global managing director of DXC, executive director of NME Software. He also led CBDC digital currency projects and the decentralized commerce projects at Symbol. And currently, he is CBDC advisor at Ripple Labs, where he looks after the CBDC and digital money projects in Europe and LATAM. Anthony also has a connection to Lithuania, which we've kindly agreed to reveal to you at the end of this presentation, if you guys don't know it yet. So Anthony, hi.
Good morning, or good afternoon, should I say.
Great to see you, great to hear you. Where are you logging and speaking to us today from?
So I'm from sunny Portugal today. So some beautiful sunshine outside.
Fantastic, that's great to hear. And if we can start and pull up your slides, it will be just a moment and we'll let you kick off. Anthony, take it away.
Perfect, thank you, Don. So pleasure to be here, and I was hoping to be there physically, but I was on holiday yesterday, so unfortunately we didn't get a chance to meet up personally. But it's great to see meetings that are starting to be face-to-face as well as virtual. I think you know, blockchain is a very global world, and I think we need to do a lot of these face-to-face, but also the virtual, as we bring the expertise from around the world. So I'm very excited to be here. Now I'll check the technology. So the first slide, oh yeah, it moves on, that's great. So Dom did a quick intro, so that was great, thank you. I think the question that was mentioned at the start the questions is what can blockchain do, etc. And I've been asking myself that since probably 6-7 years. And I actually pivoted from a consultancy, retail, e-commerce career into blockchain back in 2015, 2016, where I moved to Oracle Corporation. So I've been dealing with enterprise blockchain, commercial blockchain for 5-6 years now, and I still cannot tell you exactly what this technology is going to do, how big it will get. All I can say is we're at the start of an amazing trend, and the future is just going to grow. And I think, you know, being 5-6 years into it, we've got some great experience, which I'll talk about in a second. but also we're learning every day. And if you think back a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, I'm sure none of you knew what an NFT was. So I wrote Commercializing Blockchain back in 2019, and one of my contributors talked about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And I was just thinking, why are you talking about mushrooms and fungi? Like, what is this? And so to go from not understanding the words to actually understanding an NFT and the power of an NFT, for example, is amazing this year. I think the last 12, 18 months have been amazing for the industry, for the sector, and for our future. So quick introduction and for Ripple. So obviously, so I'm from Ripple. Been with Ripple about 6 months now. So I look after the CBDCs, digital coins, stable coins for Europe and global partnerships. So Ripple has invested a lot of money into this. So Ripple is split into two parts, divisions, RippleNet, which is probably what most people know Ripple for, which is our payment platform cross-border, and RippleX, which is the area where I work, which is the using XRP ledger. So XRP ledger is not ours, it's the ledger that we use, it's a public ledger. So we utilize the benefits of a public ledger, and obviously we're one of the biggest users of XRP ledger. Importantly, as a company, we're in the crypto world, the blockchain world. We're not about taking over and owning things. We're about working together. And I think, Chris, our sort of chairman and founder, one of the co-founders, talks about it very, clearly here. This is about collaborating together to accelerate the vision. Again, if you look at my book, one of the things that I talk about a lot is how blockchain can level the playing field, I call it. And what I mean by leveling the playing field is whether you're a big company, a small company, whether you live in Portugal or Azerbaijan or Antarctica, as long as you have connection to the internet, you can actually build things with blockchain technology and utilize it. And that's massive. I don't think we've seen that sort of powerful enabling technology, that all you need is internet, some sort of Wi-Fi or mobile connection, and you can log on to the XRP ledger and build things. You can log on to Bitcoin network or Ethereum, etc. So this is enabling a vision for the world. And people, whoever they are, wherever they are, can build on this. And I find that really exciting. It means you meet very diverse and different people and just some crazy ideas, some of which will become real. I think we probably thought back, 20, 30 years ago to, be doing Zoom meetings, even 5 years ago. We just wouldn't have talked about this. So, the world is moving forward and it's very exciting. What we have at Ripple is the power to bring the enterprise scale to a decentralized platform. So the RippleNet solution I talked about, cross-border solution, is payment system, a messaging system like Swift, which is cross-border. So we transfer billions of dollars of payments globally. And then the other part of it, most importantly, is the decentralized XRP ledger. And I think that's really exciting to sort of see what we're building there with a decentralized platform. That's just a few of the clients. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about CBDC. And I think, importantly, why am I talking about CBDC when we're talking about trends? To me, after being in the sector for, 5, 6 years, the CBDC is the ultimate token. So I use that in brackets because at the end of the day, a digital currency is a token at some stage. And it's about moving a token around, moving money, moving value around the world. And so if you think of the most important transfer of value we have today, that's the euro, if you're in Lithuania, or, many other currencies around the world. But that is our most important, movement of transactor of value. That at the moment is semi-digital. Obviously, we have euro notes, but also we have mainly digital banking, which moves this money around. moving to a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, for me is just the next natural step. But how this is put together and how it works is very important. So for me, looking at supply chain, looking at DeFi, looking at NFTs, they're amazing opportunities to use blockchain technology. But for me, the ultimate is the CBDC, our payment system. If we can make a payment system based on blockchain technology globally, we will empower people to do things that we've never even thought of yet. So what actually is the definition of a CBDC? The picture's the best one on this one. There's a central bank and it shows it owns, it's the payment system for the country or the area it operates. It's a sovereign equivalent to the private cryptocurrency. So it's quite interesting to think of it this way, that it's a cryptocurrency, because it's a token on a decentralized or permissioned part of a decentralized platform. Obviously, it's issued and controlled by the central bank, and it's used for people and businesses for payments, much like cash, but in a digital form. There are ways to use this physically as well. You've probably seen in China some of the ways that they use different cards and different IoT devices for payments. So it's not purely digital, but the actual transaction is digital. And there's lots of use cases, which I'll talk about in a second. Where does this all fit in? And I think, this is the important part where CBDCs, stable coins down at the bottom, cash, bank deposits, all of these are part of the payment system, let's say. This is called the flower diagram. So it's a well-known taxonomy of payments, from peer-to-peer, central bank, digital, widely accessible. And so CBDCs fit in a number of different areas in the middle. Retail CBDC, so that means the CBDC that we would use as humans, is sort of in the middle of that, alongside cash, public crypto, permission crypto, etc. So there's lots of different things happening. And, one of the main things with CBDCs is it's unlikely to replace everything. So I think most people think a CBDC is everything, and the whole world will move to a CBDC and we lose, different types of payment systems. We lose, cash, etc. We may lose cash over a period of time, maybe 10, 20, 30 years, but some economies you can't take away cash easily. So it'll need to be replaced with cash-like alternatives and different things. Why use DLT for blockchain and CBDCs? I think this is really important on why we're using DLT and blockchain for CBDCs. So obviously this is about blockchain adoption. And again, if you think about it the way I do, your currency is the most important. So what is a decentralized blockchain? So it's a global interoperability and scalability. The most important part with any blockchain network, be it XRP ledger, be it Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, etc. It's global and it's scalable. And it allows different participants in different ways to interact, seamlessly in most cases, sometimes with some work. But ultimately, if you have an XRP in your wallet, I can transact with you now with a QR code or some type of wallet transfer, and you will receive that, say 1 XRP within a matter of seconds. And that's it. The money equivalent, the XRP token, has transferred to you. And, you could do that wherever you are with a phone or a mobile network or a Wi-Fi. It securely allows participants to join. So importantly, a decentralized blockchain network, the participants join via, a node or a wallet or some sort of a connection. And that can or cannot be, depending on how you set this up, a KYC or, an identified person or business. But it does allow, if you would wish to set it up, that every participant is known, and you can have different levels of KYC. So know your customer KYC is the type of information you fill in when you open a bank account or things like that. Who are you? What's your address? What's your salary? Where do you work, etc. So it's important that when you have a decentralized global network, you do know, or you can set it so you know who is joining and who's doing what. Importantly, transactions settle in real time. If you make a payment now with your card today, it will take anywhere between 1 to 3 or 4 days to actually settle. By settle, we mean completely, the money has moved from my account to yours in the entire system. And that's because the banking system and payment systems are very complex with lots of people. As I said, with XRP, for example, that will settle in real time, within milliseconds. Resiliency and security. The world is a challenging place at the moment, and it has been, to be fair, for a number of years. So, security around technology is so important because everything we have now is technology driven. Our phones are our life, really, and we've got so much information and so much in that. So we need resilient and secure networks. If this is the payment system, if this is your global currency or country currency, there can't be any single point of failure. And we need multiple instances of information so that nothing is lost and nothing is incorrect. And then final part is real-time transparency. And by that, I mean, you can see what's happening where, give or take real time. So we can see where the money moves, how it moves, who's interacting with it, who may not be a person, it may just be an account or a wallet. But having real-time transparency is massive. And, all of these features, if you asked a central bank or a business if they wanted them, they would absolutely 100% want these. These are what you build your payment network using if you started today. On to today's system. So today's system is designed with something that we call the perfect path. So the perfect path means that we've set this up, we've built our networks today and all our technology systems so that they don't go wrong. We assume they don't go wrong. We assume things don't happen. So we assume the power stays on. We assume that bad actors don't, do things they shouldn't do. We assume that the world is perfect. Now, we all know the world is not perfect and it's getting a lot more unstable. Especially if you think cyber attacks and things that happen in there. So the really important note here is that a decentralized blockchain network is built with an imperfect world in mind. So when this was the XRP ledger, Bitcoin network, Ethereum, etc., when they were built with let's call it a crazy world in mind, so that they can operate in a world without control, without entities and powers, etc. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have that at all. I think having some centralization is important for humans, but you don't need to have that. The technology can work perfectly without it. And these are really the important reasons why blockchain technology for CBDCs, but also for anything, track and trace and understanding supply chain, monitoring, fake news, etc. These are all reasons why you'd use blockchain technology. Okay. I just realized there was a slide that's not on this updated. I was going to talk about stablecoins alongside CBDCs and mention LB coin. So I think most of you are probably aware of LB coins, your Bank of Lithuania collectible coin, which was launched back in July 21 last year. Yes. And that was for me, and sort of I worked on the project with Superhow, who are part of this event. And it was an amazing project because it was the first time that a central bank had actually used what would be a CBDC, let's call it. It's a digital collectible coin officially, but it is a central bank and it is a coin issued by it. So, you could argue it's a CBDC. Importantly, what that did though was test out how we operate with it. Now, the idea was that you go onto the website and you buy a number of NFTs, they'd be called now, but tokens, they were called then. And then you have to get them in different sectors of history. And then you put that together and you can then get a silver coin, a physical silver coin. It was very innovative, and really interesting trial and test to do. And the Bank of Lithuania, for me, showed how interesting, innovative, and forward-thinking Lithuania is. And, you know, to go back to Dom mentioning that, you know, that my connection, I've still continued, and we work with Superhow now with Ripple at the moment. We've got some amazing projects too that are just going to blow people's minds over the next few months that we're working together on. And we're also looking at different uses for LB coin, and maybe using LB coin in different ways. You know, obviously Lithuania part of the Eurozone, so you can't issue a euro, you know, a digital euro. That's I wouldn't say illegal, but I assume there are some legal reasons, without question. The ECB is not going to let, you know, Lithuania or any Eurozone country launch a digital euro. Interestingly, could you launch a digital euro stablecoin? Maybe. So reason I was talking about stablecoins is we're doing a lot of work now with stablecoins, and stablecoins are sort of, to me, the level below a CBDC. So CBDC is the central bank, the most powerful, and then below that is stablecoins. And stablecoins can be bank issued, they can be company issued, or they can be just issued by anything. So USDT, for example, Tether, or USDC. So there's some really interesting areas with stablecoins to come through. Very quickly, why do you have CBDCs? And I've talked through most of these. Enhance existing infrastructure. So the existing payment system is very slow and the infrastructure is slow. So it will make it a lot quicker and a lot easier to make payments, which means you can do micro payments. So imagine your car or, you know, an IoT device is making minute payments, but eventually they make lots of money. For whoever's receiving those. That can easily be done with a CBDC. Financial inclusion, so important, allowing people access to the financial services sector. There's billions of people that don't have access to the banking sector and loans and savings accounts, etc. A CBDC will allow access to that, and then you can bring in the benefits of DeFi and decentralized finance. You know, which, for example, you know, I earn on my XRP at the moment 6.5%. So my XRP is held with a company, and I get paid 6.5% a year interest. Where do you get 6.5% interest in your bank? Nowhere. I mean, it might, I doubt it's even 0.65% as well. So it's a whole new world which will open up new opportunities. It encourages greater competition. So obviously, once we get to a system where the playing field is level or more level than it is today, people can do different things. And that takes you through to innovation, using lots of advanced digital features to bring new financial products and solutions that we've never heard of. For example, we were at Bhutan, and I'll show you in a second, one of our countries. And they have sort of after payday, people take out the money and then share it with their friends. If we had a CBDC, they could do that simply online, and they could then do a smart contract to recall that payment at the end of the month. Because for them, it causes quite a lot of, you know, interactions and issues with families and friends. Did I lend you 10 euros? Did you pay me back the 20 euros? You know, so innovation can come from this. And then finally, to maintain control for the banks, this is important. It is important for us because they do look after our monetary policy overall. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad if you look at the moment, but that's what the banks are there for. And they do need to keep retaining sovereignty over the monetary policy, at least for the next few years. Okay, and then the barriers, it's not easy, this. You've got control versus innovation. This is probably the most important. The banks, you know, the expectation that banks have lots of control versus the people and businesses wanting to be innovative. And there's a balance there. Connecting cross borders, if everybody uses a different system, it's not going to make things better across borders. Identities, without question, the most important for us as humans. What information should or shouldn't we share about ourselves and our transactions? Big question. And then non-bank channels. Should non-banks, for example, a fintech company or just a normal tech company, be able to access the payment system and make payments? So really important barriers there. Very quickly, so we've built a digital currency platform that provides secure, innovative solutions, scalable, all the answers to what we've just done before. I'll show you very quickly. It's very simple. The bank, issues the money at the bottom. The commercial banks may or may not be direct or indirect. And then we bring in this more exciting layer of the second from the top, the non-bank financial services, wallets, fintech developers. That's where we see the most exciting developments. And then obviously ourselves and our businesses at the top. Commercial banks may or may not be there in different guises and different ways. Just depends how we put this together. And then finally, just very quickly, we work with the Royal Monetary Authority of Bhutan, where we're doing a full CBDC. So we're in phase 2, I think, out of 5 there. So we're replacing the entire payment infrastructure to make cross-border more effective and costly. And then finally, the other one that we can talk about at this stage is Palau. They're beautiful islands in the South Pacific, I think. Can't remember where they are. Anyway, beautiful islands. They have adopted the US dollar. So they're a dollar-denominated country, but they want to use a digital dollar. So we're building a stable coin, USD, so a dollar stable coin. This is very powerful. Imagine a country that is a dollar country, but with basically a stable coin CBDC dollar. That could be a European country with a stable euro. So some really exciting things happening there. And that's the end of my session. So I will hand it over to Dom or anyone to ask questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. First of all, a big round of applause for this very comprehensive presentation. So just a quick reminder for everybody that if you'd like to engage with speakers and ask them questions, Slido is the platform to do it, and I get the input and I ask the questions. And Anthony, since you've already answered all the 3 questions that I had prepared for you in your presentation, which shows how comprehensive it was, I will go to the question on Slido that I was asked, and even though not immediately relevant to what you spoke about, it's extremely relevant to us here in the Baltics. So perhaps you can put your visionary hat on and tell us a little bit more about Ukraine. So the question on Slido that I'd like to pass on to you is, besides plain fundraising in crypto, what are other ways blockchain-based solutions could help Ukraine win this war?
Wow.
That's a good one, right?
It's a very good question. And it's very important as well. The world is challenging at the moment at best. And obviously, with Ukraine, what's happening there is just, unheard of, and all the support we can give them is critical. I think, the payments, so they, first of all, I remember the bank, the central bank of Ukraine couldn't accept Bitcoin and XRP, etc. to start off with, I think the first day or 2. And then all of a sudden it came out that they could do it, which was brilliant. So they realized straight away you can use this technology quickly and simply. And that was amazingly powerful. I think what would have been good and can be good is then to help track the process of people who've had to leave Ukraine. Obviously, the numbers are just crazy, but help them move their their identities, and I'd say a digital identity, to a new country. I've heard, that people have had to try and bring mortgage statements from Ukraine to then be able to access some, funding in a different country in Europe. And I wouldn't expect, if I was leaving a war zone, that I'd remember to get my paperwork for some mortgages and things. That's just not, it's inhuman. So for me, if the data on our financial lives was held on blockchain securely and privately, you could then at the other end, let's call it, when you go to cross the border or to whichever country, you can then share your financial data easily and simply, and the information you need to. So self-sovereign identity and other technologies would allow you to share your information. Healthcare was one of the most important that we used to work on at DXC, where if you move to a different doctor, a healthcare service, you don't have your medical records. They may be in Portugal and you move to Lithuania. Well, you may have had lots of surgery and quite serious, important surgery. You need to let the doctors know, etc. So again, recording that information, having our information that's already recorded in the country you live, allowing it to be securely shared in a different country would massively help, the Ukrainians that are the refugees now that are leaving the country, and also help them return as well. So hopefully, when hopefully when it finishes positively for Ukraine, they want to go back. And so if they can do that, they again can take this history with them. So I think, we've missed the boat on a lot of this, but we can still do that today and start to help the people for the future, and also for any other issues that could happen, from these types of events.
That is an awesome answer to a very difficult question, and great thinking on your feet, Anthony. Thank you. I actually think this is an actionable recommendation that could be passed on to Ukrainian authorities, and we'll try to do that, having a lot of influential people here in the community. Another question from Slido, if I may, a little bit more critical. Is it true that CBDC would be just the digital equivalent of fiat money? How will the high volatility and the high inflation be avoided?
Yeah, so a CBDC doesn't replace monetary policy. So if the governments if we had a CBDC 10 years ago and the governments had the policies they have today, we'd still have the same inflation issues we have today, I would say, on balance. Although the one thing that would be different is they would have seen the monetary supply exponentially growing as a whole quickly, and how that then gets lent out and relent, etc., etc. So with CBDCs based on permissioned blockchain technology, you'd be able to see all of the money supply everywhere, all the different levels of money supply, the credit, etc. So hopefully that would have made the policy decisions move sooner rather than later. The information would have been transparent sooner. Politically, they may choose not to. That's a different discussion, but the information would be there and open for people to see at an earlier stage.
Thank you so much. Again, extremely comprehensive. And with this, let me wave you goodbye. Enjoy Portugal, and we hope to see you in Vilnius soon. Always welcome here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
The pleasure is definitely all ours. And with this, please let me move to the second keynote of today by our very own Andrus Bichis. And he will, as a co-founder and CEO of GoalHub.net, will talk to us. Hi, Andrus. I can see you. He will talk to us about sustainable development goals and disaster relief problems in the 21st century. Can blockchain help to solve them? Can't wait, because Andrus is a social architect, practitioner, and innovator with over 2 decades of experience focusing on precisely that, SDGs. And his current roles include, in addition to GoalHub, advisor of the International Alliance for Peace and Development in Geneva, strategic advisor of Lithuanian Consumers Alliance, and an expert on educational programs in the Council of Europe. So let's pull up the PowerPoint. Andrus, where are you joining us from today? Let me guess.
I'm sorry, but it's like today I'm from Vilnius, but I couldn't manage to come. It's like...
Absolutely.
Sometimes,
well, perhaps
sometimes the world is turning like this, and it's like you want to do a network, you want to come, and this is like the only opportunity at least to share the possibilities and knowledge what you have.
Absolutely. At least we know where to find you. So without any further ado, let's pull up the PowerPoint, and whenever you're ready, just give me count from 3 to 1. The guys are on it. I can see it. Andrus, take it away. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for organizers for inviting me to present this, our presentation. Because the topic what we are talking, and especially what Anthony was mentioning, first of all, the world is not perfect. And the problem is that it's not becoming better, it's becoming worse, because we see how it's changing. And to do all changes, like at least to stop, United Nations were working on sustainable development goals. And from 2015, we have like 17 main goals on which we are working. So Goal Hub, it is the system on which we saw as one of the opportunities or solutions for changes. So what it is? In reality, if we are saying it is an ecosystem that builds trust, especially among those who don't trust each other. We had very nice opportunity to shape our idea on our platform, let's say like this, in different world level events, and it was nominated as a second best initiative globally in World Government Summit. Then we presented and made some events in Paris Peace Forum. And I believe it's like one of the good things why it had such support, because as you mentioned, I am the social architect. I'm more working with the organizations also. But we are also, there is another co-founder who is more focusing on technology. So it is Vytautas Kašėta, and he was really helping a lot. And for that, it's like we have this nice cooperation, which really helps us to involve more institutions. And so behind this, that we are talking about sustainable development goals, and that we want to fight the hunger, that everybody were educated, electricity for everybody, fight water. We find out that one of the biggest challenges which we can see, it is like water is rising. It's like global warming is like really affecting everybody, and it's like a lot of times people are talking there is lack of funds, but we saw during COVID pandemic how fast people were getting the funds in order to find vaccines. So the question is if it is like lack of interest or lack of trust. And I believe the biggest problem is trust. Because this is like, when we are talking about global problems, we understand that it is a lot of different players. It is governments, it is business, it is organizations like NGOs. And a lot of times you cannot trust each other, especially when you are far from each other. So if we are talking about global aid, Ban Ki-moon, who was United Nations Secretary, he told that it is about only like 30% we're going to corruption. So it's like, it is minimum. In some numbers, it goes till 70%. And we understand that it's huge numbers. And to show you these numbers, like about these disaster reliefs, I would like to show you some things. So, for example, average in year, it's counted about 400 extreme weather events. Yeah, 41 million are affected by flooding. Yeah, and then it's they cost per year at least like $160 billion. And if we are counting like average, like taking these events, these top level events, it goes from $1 to $3 billion. So if we are taking 30%, so it's 300,000, but it can be almost 1 billion. So it's like, if we are talking like these, the numbers which we are losing through corruption, and because it's like possibilities for the technologies, how we are collecting money, how we are sending the money for the aid and etc., accountability, it is really huge ones. And this year numbers, it is like World Economic Forum estimates that through corruption, we lost last year 2.6 trillion. So it is, for example, to reach the goal, it was counted before pandemic. We needed something about $3 trillion. So everybody got food, everybody got electricity and other things. And it's like, it's like almost all things we are just getting here. We are losing just through corruption. And this is a huge thing. So briefly about Goal Hub, what we're doing. Our aim, it is, as I mentioned, to build ecosystem based on social trust index. Because only to build ecosystems, we can see a lot of different platforms, we can see different things, but it's like, again, the question, it is trust. And we find out that it is very important to go deep into the topic. Beneficiaries, from one side, we are talking about NGOs, aid providers, crowdfunding platforms, because this social trust index could be used in different platforms as well. But let's say like this, if we're going to disaster relief problems, you need to get fast aid in just a couple of days. Like actually, if you are not providing the aid in 10 days, then numbers, how much country it is affected, raise dramatically. And, it's like, because then people are getting sick, then they are lost all of the jobs and other system, and you have to rebuild. And this is the complications. And talking about technologies, so what we are uniting science, we are uniting artificial intelligence, blockchain. Blockchain for us, it is important because it can prove the information about where the money were sent or not, collected, where they were spent, how they were spent, all these questions. But again, we need science in order to use already information from different indexes to build the social trust index, which we are doing by ourselves. And so what is this social trust index, and how we are like really looking to the things? If we are talking about any aid project or big activity, what we see when we, even if as a user, I would like to support something, what I see, mostly I see only presentation, photos, maybe I know from the news, and this is like the stuff on which a lot of platforms are working now. Yeah, maybe somebody of them are checking also another thing. It is organizations. So they can request for information about organization and etc. And organizational level, it is proven that people are supporting more organizations than individuals, except if they are celebrities. And here we're getting third layer, that it is individuals, if they are supporting organizations or they are supporting activities, then we see the trust of such activities are raising. And in the end, we are getting also country level, because the question it is, in which country this activity it is implemented. Why we're looking like this and why it is important? Because it's the question also from the one who want to provide the aid. It's like if we're taking, let's say, some Middle East country, and we are just want to support, let's say, Christian organization, I'm not sure about the benefits or outcomes of such activity, especially if we're talking about like Afghanistan, let's say, yeah, it can be a lot of complications. The same thing, it is like, it is already proven, was the story how Americans were sending the help for one of the countries where people were starving, and they sent a ship with the beef. And the problem was that when they received it, they burned everything. Why? Because they didn't know if this beef was really killed in the way it should be in religion background. So in that way, it is very important to check all the things and who is doing, where is doing, what is doing, what are the values of the countries, etc. And for that, we are getting very complicated index on which we believe it is possible to find the solution. But the only way, if you are looking from one side as it is information, and other side from who is searching and who would like support what. The same it is like if we are supporting, for example, neighbor country. Now we know we have this situation in Ukraine, and personally for me, it passes all the things, like all this pyramid, because first of all, I was there. Second, I know a lot of individuals there. I know their organizations, at least what they were doing before, how they were doing, and what activities they are doing now, for what they are raising the money. Because in a lot of times, especially during the war, money are lost because they are not coordinated. And for that, blockchain could help, because you can use it when you need it. So, and in the end, where we are now, so what we done, with the help of others, we shaped and tested our ideas, and then we created partnership between civil society organizations, business, and scientists, because now we are working with the scientists from 5 different countries on building this social trust index. And then we have MVP. We presented it in Paris Peace Forum, and it was very nice to see and interesting to communicate with the representatives like from, for example, OECD and other top-level organizations who were telling that it is a very important step to do such a platform because it could be also helpful for them. And sure, we are developing new partnerships, trying to involve business inside. And as I mentioned before, researching our golden formula that could prove trust capability for implementation of chosen international activity. Because if we are talking about disaster relief, we have to understand that these kind of projects, they need very urgent reaction. They need urgent information providing, getting money, and later to go to all the other things. And yeah. And now the question goes for you, how do you trust it? How you prove to trust it? And thank you.
Andros, thank you so much. Very visionary and inspirational. And for that, let me throw you a curveball that we saw on the slide you questions. Talk to us, please, about the relations between blockchain and authoritarian regimes. How can blockchain be used and abused by authoritarian regimes, especially if the governments actively try to block it? That's a tough one.
It's like, for me, how governments can block it. I'm not so technical that I can say it, but for sure, I believe it is possibilities. Maybe from our team, Vytautas could answer for it better. The only thing what I see, what are possibilities for aid, because at least what we see, the possibility it is not only to send the money, but to confirm that aid, collected aid, was provided, was sent, it was received, and we see all the track from the beginning till the end that that aid was used correctly. If it was collected money for tents, and we know that we need like 1,000 tents, so then it's like we are working on buying the tents, and we see how they are sent and who received this and who are confirming it.
Awesome, and that's a great answer because accountability and transparency being the key principles of blockchain also happen to be the key principles of democracy. So let's not pay attention to authoritarian regimes too much and focus on the good stuff here. So again, thank you so much for talking to us today about SDGs and your solution for it. We hope to see you live in presence at Rocket or elsewhere in Vilnius next time. And good luck with the rest of your day. And in the meantime,
Thank you.
for all of us here, let's take a 10-minute break to catch our breaths. And first, I wave goodbye to the people in the, or see you later actually, for the people in the online watching chambers. And I invite you to come back in 10 minutes with the countdown clock going down up on the screen soon. So see you in 10 minutes. like to call everybody in person to return to your seats, and for everyone who is tuning in online, welcome back. While people roam and shuffle, I will talk a little bit about what's going to happen in this second part. So first, we will review the achievements of Blockstart, a 3-year-long acceleration program, European partnership program that supported blockchain startups and SMEs. And the project aimed to investigate the current situation of blockchain-based technology adoption, point out challenges, map out opportunities, and educate entrepreneurs to achieve the best possible results through mentorship, acceleration, and learning. And because today is the closing event of Blockstart, in fact, after 3 years, for some of us it's an emotional moment. And who better to close this emotional part of the journey than Mr. Joao Fernandez? And if I may please have Joao wave at me somewhere. We might have a technical difficulty, or the organizing team might be messing with me, and we might have a wild goose chase and Joao does not even exist. Or maybe he's in hiding, and the point for all of us here at Rocket Vilnius is to try and pull out Joao out of his hiding spot. Whichever way, I will continue to look for him and will not cease in my optimism. And for the people online, I would also like to remind you to use Slido to ask questions to Joao or any other of our speakers who will be here shortly. And to also not to forget to help Ukrainian fundraising offers, including with crypto. I'm getting nods that Joao might not be a real person. Or did I misrepresent the nod? In any case, I think after 2.5 years of COVID, that people, when meeting in person, are extremely anxious to get as much face-to-face time as possible before reverting back to our Zoom routines. And I think because of that, we're running late with gathering everyone back to the room. But with the room filling up, one question remains. Where is Joao as the next speaker on the agenda? And with what might soon turn into the world's longest introduction for a blockchain enthusiast, I'm still facing the stage waiting for him to emerge at some point. He's not run away, has he? He's here, right? He's here? Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to finally welcome Mr. Joao Fernandez. Hey, I apologize for putting you on the tough spot.
No problem.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you appreciate a little bit of friendly banter. I leave you for the presentation.
Thanks a lot. So firstly, thanks for the invitation. And so I'll maybe start out by presenting myself very quickly. So I'm João Fernandes. I'm project manager and investment analyst at Bright Pixel. It's the entity I work for. Basically, it's a VC investor from Portugal. And in parallel to this, to assess startups on a daily basis, I coordinate Blockstart and participate in other 2 European programs, acceleration programs. But let's focus today on the best project out of those by far, so Blockstart Accelerator. So I've just realized that I missed the clicker, so to be able to move forward. So today, in the quickest way that I can put it, I'll try to explain the tale of a blockchain accelerator. A blockchain accelerator that is called Blockstart, but it is part of a wide group of this kind of acceleration programs that are funded by the European Commission. So the main difference is that all the funding, all the money that we distribute to startups comes from the European Union. But then, in a nutshell, it operates similarly to other acceleration programs. So Blockstart, some quick references to what is Blockstart is, as I've mentioned, an EU-funded accelerator. So it ran from 2019 up to this very month. So within 1 week, the project will end. So roughly 3 years duration. And the commitment of the project and the mission was to support 60 startups and 67 SMEs, and to foster partnerships between the startups, the developers, and the solution adopters, the SMEs. And so this program has been run by Bright Pixel VC investors, so the company I work for also by Civita, the consultancy firm from Central and Eastern Europe, and an F6S founders community. So Blockstart, the value proposition, relied not only in the funding of startups up to 20K, of SMEs up to 4.5K, but mostly the growth support, all the mentoring, all the facilitation of presence at events, all the training, so giving the capacity to startups to thrive, and much more than just the minor funding that it enabled. So this endeavor was done with the help of a great ecosystem of up to 30 entities, so namely blockchain investors as the lead block partners, communities, tech communities as R3, BlockRocket, blockchain accelerator and investor from Germany, Startup Lithuania, I'm sure that you should know them, and European Blockchain Convention, so one of the main events worldwide focused on blockchain. So, but out of these, many more that help out to broaden the networking capacity of this program. Also, the mentoring of over 30 founders, CTOs, innovation managers that enabled Blockstart to be much more than just 3 entities supporting startups, but basically a whole community leveraging the success of the startups that participated in our program. So for you to understand the structure of the acceleration program Blockstart, it ran in 3 editions, 3 cohorts, and each of them basically started out by applications from startups. Then we selected out of around 100 applications, the top 20, around 20 startups that we felt that were the ones with highest potential. Then we gathered them for 1 to 2 day event, online event, because as you may notice, the program ran throughout the pandemic. And so this was an event that was basically to sort out the top 10 startups that should move to the prototype stage. Prototype stage, then 4 months of development of the MVP, and finally the pilot implementation. So this is the final stage, the 2-month period when startups implement their solution in SME. So this is, I would say, one differentiating factor of Blockstart compared to other programs. We not only enable startups to develop their solution, but also to look to market fit very dearly, and basically in these 2 months they had to prove the capabilities of technology to be implemented. Also, so ecosystem building of this program for sure was one of the main elements. Over 30 events that we organized. Also we participated in 25, and the SME assessment tool. So we developed a survey basically that enables SMEs to, in 5 minutes, understand if blockchain may be relevant or not for their activity. And so some vanity stats I shall say, but anyway, so we had over 300 startups that applied to our program. over 150 SMEs that applied from 55 countries, and satisfaction rate is also very relevant, over 90%. So just to end, mentioning some feedback from our startups. So all of them focused a lot in the market fit component of the program. So basically, it was not so much about the funding or even the mentoring. It was basically the enabling of connection with SMEs and helping them to test market fit as early as possible. Because, and being a VC investor, I know that startups tend to like to focus 6 months, 1 year, sometimes more in developing without looking to the market. But this actually doesn't make sense. They should test their assumptions as early as possible. And in Blockstart, we force them to do so for the good reasoning, for the sake of their success. Also, out of 21 startups that we managed to gather some statistics and some elements, they raised over 13 million private investments, over 5 million in public funding, also over 100 clients and over 60 hirings, which is quite nice for early stage startups. And also some major milestones, like a contract being signed by one of our startups, presenting today actually, right after me, Datarella. So signed a 2-year contract, 1.5 million contract with the European Space Agency, 1.5 and 2 million fundraising, so quite nice for startups. In the case of Digital Village, that was just founded 2 months before Blockstart, participated in our acceleration program, and in less than 6 months got 2 million investment, which for an early stage blockchain startup is quite nice for a metaverse. And so just here present you the finalists of the acceleration program. So I won't go through the 16 of them. I will just challenge you to check on this website of Blockstart. So if you are curious enough, you can check the profile of each startup. So we have from agri-tech to metaverse to sustainability related to supply chain, so a wide array of startups. So these are the 16 finalists, and I will just end by saying that we've just helped them out. We've just gave an extra support, but basically all the merit should be given to the brave startups that now it's their time to shine for sure. And we are confident that several of them will have great results in the coming years. So that was about it, and thanks. And if you have any doubt, maybe through Slido, by email, anytime, reach out to us. So yeah.
João, thank you so much. I'm definitely glad we found you. I'm glad for the 3 years of the Blockstart program. I will not ask any questions now, but he's around for a chat for us in the live audience. So during the networking bit, we'll be able to ask you questions. João, thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. So let's connect. Cheers.
And with this, we switch the gears into networking and open mic and startup presenting mode. And we have at least 4 startups joining us here today, virtually remotely to pitch. I hope that we have a couple more in the audience. We'll find you. And I'm sure we'll find at least one budding entrepreneur. And now to kick off the chat with the startups, I'd like to welcome Sylvain Wittekock, founder and CEO of FileChain, a startup that provides fully decentralized permission blockchain solutions for NFT marketplaces, Web 3.0, Industry 4.0, and even CBDC platforms. Sylvain, I can see you here. How are you doing, and where are you joining us from today?
I'm doing very good. I'm joining from Stockholm, Sweden.
Stockholm, Sweden. So I'm very glad that we have a west to east, north to south representation in among our speakers today. We're just pulling up your presentation, and as soon as it's on, you'll be ready to take us all away. I hope you have a visit to Vilnius planned at some point as well. It's a budding ecosystem, and I wish you've seen the networking break. Oh, some people didn't come back because of how interesting and chatty we all were. In any case, thanks for your patience. The PowerPoint's almost up, and take it away.
All right. Yes, so thank you everyone. Thank you for having me, the founder of FileChain. And so I'll give you a presentation of our company, where indeed we are provider of decentralized solutions, both for startups which need solutions to disrupt, let's say, new business cases and so on, and established players who basically want to streamline their operations, their operational costs when dealing with, for instance, many suppliers or their financial, operations and so on. So we address both startups and real players. So basically, the digital world today is fairly centralized, right? Where basically you have for B2B platforms, where everything is transacting through one company. For e-commerce platforms, it's always as well the case that consumers and merchants will have to engage through one company. And as we know, for all of the social platforms we know today, everything has always to go through one company as well. So the bottom line of all of this is that as of today, basically any collaborative platform will end up with one party always in control of most of everything happening. And so, well, that's basically the design, of all of the platforms, where this is basically some kind of many-to-one and one-to-many type of relationships between all of those participants and actors, especially for a B2B platform, which is the case we are looking at here. The reality ends up being a bit of a spaghetti ball, where basically everyone, say on a B2B platform, needs to transact with basically most of the other parties, not just the one sitting in the middle. And so that's actually why, there is basically what we call a many-to-many type of relationship actually going on. And that's exactly what blockchain and decentralized platforms are about to solve as a problem. And so to just give you an overview of FileChain, first and foremost, we are into federation blockchains. Many will call it private blockchains or enterprise blockchains, while basically just blockchains which are not public, simply because we at FileChain do not believe so much into a ledger which would be used by everyone for everything, but instead for more of a purpose. Two, at FileChain, we wanted to be able to address any kind of industry, and indeed in our case, we are not specific to some use cases, and instead our platforms are very, very generic by nature. Three, we are a ledger which is 100% European made, and our technology does not come from any fork of the code, does not rely on any other ledger to run. So by that definition, we are very self-contained and indeed 100% from Europe. While there are, as a detail, indeed, a number of patents behind what we have implemented. It needs to be understood that we believe blockchain will only succeed and become mainstream if indeed the performance is here, exactly like for the typical enterprise solutions, which are centralized today. They are dealing with thousands of transactions per second. We want our blockchains and our ledgers to deal with that kind of speed as well. And that's exactly what we have designed our solution for. To just as a little joke here, so to say, at FileChain, we are so confident about our technology that even for a prototype, we can offer us 100% satisfaction or money back guarantee because of the quality and of the platforms we provide. And so in a nutshell, let me just describe FileChain as a bit of Bitcoin plus Ethereum plus Hyperledger plus DocuSign. All of that would actually be a decent way to describe FileChain. And so I'll just give you more details in a second about what that actually means. And so first and foremost, if we are looking at the features of ledgers like those at FileChain, it's about identity first and foremost, because we believe, we know actually that, to transact on a ledger, you've got to know who you are dealing with, right? And that has to go beyond the public address of a Bitcoin, address or wallet. Whenever you are sending Bitcoins, it has to go beyond that. And so that's exactly what at FileChain we provide, so that, we can actually onboard very fast anyone or anything, but we can even do it with compliance, we can do it with a lot of due diligence if needed. Two, like basically all of the ledgers around, we provide provenance to trace whoever is doing what. But as you can see, we can even include agreements, basically legal prose within our ledgers. And so that's a key differentiator with most of the other ledgers around, in the sense that we can even, well, basically trace documents which would actually directly fit into the ledger. Our ledgers, of course, support the transfer of balances of NFTs, but in our case, we will want to make sure we can do it at scale, large scale, thousands or even millions of endpoints. That's actually what we have designed in our solution. And the last two are extremely important as well. We believe that the privacy element, basically the need to know a policy, is extremely important. And of course, in our technology, we can enforce it for any workflow. It means at no point you will ever have to provide any bit of information to anyone who is not supposed to see it in the first place. That we believe is extremely important for mainstream adoption. And finally, and that's a bit of a trendy keyword right now about ransomware. Well, basically, we want to make sure we will never put, all the eggs in one basket. Actually, our customers, our users will never end up having to put all their eggs in one basket by being able to actually split where the data is stored and the keys to encrypt that data and so on, to make sure, well, you limit your risk to ransomware, which is getting more and more common in today's digital environment. And so basically at FileChain, there are two big ways to describe our ledgers. One, we want to be way more economical than most of the others. And two, we want to be way more performant. And so the way to be more economical is one, to automate workflows that we do big time, but we do it without smart contracts, because we know that smart contracts are actually very expensive to implement, expensive to test, and definitely very expensive to run and execute. And we know that they are not even, they don't offer any guarantee that they won't be abused. And while someone may actually lose money, even if this was not intended in the first place. So, well, we do it without smart contracts. Two, we do our transfers of values without cryptocurrencies, again, because this is too expensive at scale for users and companies to run. And basically, because we don't have smart contracts, well, we don't have a need for any gas fee either. And so we end up with actually a cost of ownership, which can be done without any kind of speculative stacking, where basically you can very easily predict how much it will cost to run. And we believe this is extremely important because this is the way software has been sold and bought and is being run, for decades. And so this has to be the same for ledgers, where the pricing model, the total cost of ownership has to be extremely clear for, well, possibly years into the future. And on the performance side, well, as I said, we want to go for fit-for-purpose ledgers. So we don't believe in one ledger doing everything. Instead, we want well-defined governance so that we know who is in charge of what, for any, a federation of factors using a specific ledger. As I said, we want to be able to share documents with end-to-end privacy. So if you recall that DocuSign, but decentralized in the sense that I can share documents with others, but only me and those final recipients will be able to basically decrypt that PDF if this is something I want to share with others. And indeed, in our ledgers, they are built so that you can onboard all your identities and you can transact on the same ledger. So you are not looking at a number of moving parts to actually do everything you've got to do. No, to make it cheap and performant, you do everything from the same ledger. And finally, as I said, we have patents to actually make sure we support thousands of transactions per second and a great deal of scalability. That is a requirement to be able to go mainstream. And so, regarding the offering at FileChain, indeed, we are a fairly small startup. So we have this FileChain ledger, which, as I said, is the one you use to do all of your identity management, to automate all of your contracts, and indeed even legal prose, exactly like indeed the DocuSign. But all of that is highly decentralized and performant. And the other product we have on our portfolio is what we call a treasury, which is the one you use to actually deal with the double spend problem on technical terms. And that means when you want to actually transfer value and NFTs from one party to the other. And you will notice that we have two products so that for most of the transactions which do not need a value of transfer or a value of some transfer of some NFT, we can do it cheaply by not having to solve the double spend problem. Right? So that's how we can make our platforms way cheaper than most. We do have an SDK, and it can even be implemented in Java, again, because we want to easily integrate with ERPs and legacy systems. And we provide consulting services, and we partner with very large system integrators to actually be able to engage with very large projects from day one. And so finally, my last slide is one to actually describe a number of applications we are running on our ledgers and treasuries. One is indeed an NFT marketplace where you could actually trade your NFTs, but also describe in the first place what are the NFTs you want to trade, because it's not just about being able to state formally who owns what. It's also about but what is behind that NFT in the real world. This is as important as describing the actual owner of that NFT, obviously. We are into Web3 applications of many different types, like for instance, electrical vehicles on a charging station in a city. Well, here you've got to identify the car, you've got to identify the driver, and you've got to charge, whenever the charging of the electricity is done. And so all of that can actually be implemented by our platforms. And indeed, we even support complete central bank digital coin solutions to actually manage, cryptocurrency, or not cryptocurrencies, but basically central bank digital coins, as well as decentralized finance applications. And so the last two are basically, some cross-border overlays. If you have, let's say, cross-border payments between countries, you know that there is a need for regulation. And so there will be a need for a lot of paperwork and reference data and information to be shared with different regulators. Well, our platforms enable that very selective sharing of information and documents even to the right parties. And basically, even for Industry 4.0, where you would have a number of competitors. Today, competitors cannot use the same IT platform when they are dealing with, say, a common buyer. Tomorrow, with platforms like ours, they will be able to all interact, transact with the same buyer, for instance, simply because they will not be able to reveal their pricing point or their exact agreements with that common buyer, but they will be able to do everything else to streamline everything for everyone. And finally, again, because we are very much as well into the streamlining of paperwork and paper trails, we are quite much into shipping or even supply chain, and therefore quite far away in that case from just the transfer of value and transfer of NFTs, and much more into the transfer of anything else, physical goods in the real world. And that's how I'm going to end my presentation, and we'll thank you everyone and give the floor back right now.
Thank you so much, Sylvain.
Thank you.
I know you have a couple of other engagements today. Do you have time to hang out for a question? Or is this
Yes, please. Yes.
All right, so a reminder for everybody to use Slide Do to see if there's anything you'd like to ask. In the meantime, Sylvain, I was impressed to see a patent in your presentation. I come from a biotech pharma world, right? That's the startup we're building. Patents are insane. Do you think IP and especially patents add a lot of value to blockchain startups? And would you recommend other entrepreneurs do it in the blockchain space?
So one, this is a lot of work. Two, this is possibly a ton of money. So you've got to know exactly what you're doing. With some patent lawyers who have done it for ages. Don't start by yourself. And 4, this is not. That's almost a detail. What is important, and that's exactly what we have done at FileChain, is to actually build a complete technology to actually prove through a demo. We have done it for a few years by now. We are not discussing patents when we give a demo. People actually see it with their own eyes. Aha, this is how I could actually deploy my ledgers and use it. The patents are actually way down in the list. And so, no, basically the short answer, I would not, it's for very specific cases that you may want to actually go for a patent. But overall, no, that's probably just a waste of energy for most people and most companies.
Thank you for such a sincere answer. That's what I was hoping, but thanks. That's a good one. And so, Sylvain, we wave you goodbye for this time, and we wait for you in Vilnius. And thanks so much again. And we'll continue the startup presentations with Miguel Prados, CEO of Comunitaria. And while Miguel comes online, let me just tell you that Comunitaria
I'm here.
Oh, hi. I will just see you in a second. Comunitaria promotes local commerce by creating a shared self-consumption network where local businesses purchase solar energy produced by nearby neighbors. These neighbors then receive payment for their electricity production in the form of a digital currency that they used to buy from the local businesses to which they have sold the electricity. Miguel, that sounds like a very interesting concept. I can finally see you. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm now in Granada, which is my hometown, but I usually live in Sevilla.
I see. It looks very sunny in Granada. If we may pull up the PowerPoint for you, you'll be ready to start and talk to us about your solar startup. Here you go. Take it away. Thanks. And don't forget to ask questions on Slido.
Okay. Hello, everyone from Granada. Well, it's not actually sunny. It's a bit of cloudy here, but anyways, good weather. So I'm in my mom's house, as you can see by the surrounding atmosphere. So we're Comunitaria. I'm Miguel Prados. I'm the CEO. And I'm going to introduce to you this project, which is Rooftop.fit, that was helped out by Blockstart. So what's the problem we're trying to help with is the cycle of poverty perpetuates itself. If you know the private neighborhoods, the capital inflow is less than the capital outflow. That's why they are permanently poor. So we're trying to confine the richness of these neighborhoods. And we started with a community currency. And we are actually using solar energy from the private neighborhoods to buy food at local shops. And I'll tell you how we're doing this. That was an initiative awarded by UNICEF. So quite simple. The solar energy is produced by neighbors in the neighborhood. And then that solar production, that power is sold to the local commerce, which is on the left-hand side. But the local commerce, instead of paying the neighbors with euros, they pay for the electricity they produce with a community currency, the IIA. They call it the IIA. So once the neighbors got their IIA, they go and pay with that IIA to the very commerce that are buying them the electricity. So basically, the commerce buy the electricity using a community currency. So they pay with a community currency, the neighbors receive the community currency, and they are only able to spend that community currency back at the local commerce. So it is a circular economy produced by the inflow of solar energy and the local commerce. So it should be as simple as installing solar panels and then receive a community currency on your right-hand side. And then once you have that community currency on your left-hand side, you just go select your local shop, click on pay, and put the amount, which is the equivalent. It's like a stable coin, €1, 1 year. So you just put the same amount, click on pay, and that's all. So why the local commerce trust us? They trust us because we've been channeling donation from Caritas and ourselves for a long time. So before, the donations were going to big supermarket chains in a form of prepaid debit cards. But what we do is to use that money to give them directly to the local commerce, and then we issue this stable coin that we share with the people that the local ONG or the Caritas tell us. So money goes to local market, then we issue the community currency, it's sort of stable coin, and we share it among the people that Caritas or the local ONG tell us. So they can use that community currency to buy at local shops. So as I said, food banks works really well, but they don't deal with perishable food. Prepaid debit cards, money goes out of the neighborhoods, which damage the local commerce, and paper vouchers, they're difficult to handle, costly, and difficult to trace. We provide fresh fruit from local stock, local benefit, easy handling, low cost, traceable, and secure. So we have a dashboard. This is the actual dashboard where we are able to track who are we helping and how are we helping them. We currently helping 100 families. We provide more than 1.5 tons of fresh food. We provide stable jobs. We are providing sustainable communities, and we multiply the local consumption up to 35%. And of course, because we are using solar energy, we are reducing CO2 production. So our technology is a multi-platform mobile application for iOS and Android. It uses an open source blockchain compatible with Ethereum virtual machine. It's a side chain of Ethereum. And so all the current DeFi and dApps are able to work seamlessly. So all the swap, yield, lending, insurance, and DAOs are able to work natively in our blockchain. And we run a node, so we get commissions for these transactions. So that makes our transactions free in a way. We also use another ledger, which is the IOTA streams, to measure the solar energy production. So our proposal to entities is let's form micro solar power communities. We buy the solar cells, and then we provide the impacts, and we can trace those impacts that we are providing. It's very important, the cultural integration. So we are actually printing some bills out of these digital currencies. So the people are able to see them, to touch them. So there is a cultural appropriation. Some of them, we will convert it as an NFT. So if you can run the video for me now, so you can see this live. So this is the actual neighborhood. It actually is one of the poorest of Europe, and especially the poorest in Spain. This is where you never think that top-notch blockchain technology will work, but it's working. This is the local market where we are working. As you see, our final purpose is to reopen store. But this man is telling us that it was one of the biggest local market in the entire Sevilla, but now most of the stores are closed, and the people living in that neighborhoods really are going through a really difficult time. This is one of the families we are helping out, and she's Elena, our chief of operations. She is the one that is driving operation inside. Onboarding, it's quite simple. In fact, we don't do the onboarding normally. There are some users that are doing the onboarding by themselves. So the application is made so it's as simple as use as a WhatsApp. It's just you select the commerce, you click on pay, and that's all. We are currently as well in Sevilla, and yes, from here we work in this neighborhood. As you can see, it's low-rise, flat roof building. So installing solar power is quite easy. As you can see, this is what we're trying to help with, to open new stores at the local commerce. We collaborate with the local church. We are diverse in terms of ideology and beliefs. So we want to bring all the community together. And what we found out is what we are providing is like a network effect, because coming from all sorts of ideology, we have Muslim locals and Jewish and all sorts of people, immigrants that are living there. It is a mostly immigrant neighborhood. They are going more to the market, so they're knowing each other and collaborating themselves. So as for the cultural appropriation in the designing of the printing bills, we choose to have local artists. So we print a 5 iya bills, 2 iya bill, and a coin of 1 iya. And these are these two local artists. But we also were lucky to have with us the main NFT artist in Spain, which is Javier Arres, and Javier Arres was the designer of the 5 iya bill. So this is Javier Arres. So we're going to auction the 5 iya bills. So it will be printed and you will be able to have it on your hand, but it's also going to be auctions and as a fractional NFT. So we are using cutting edge technology in blockchain on the poorest neighborhood in Europe. This man is telling us that he hopes for the best with this complementary currency. So we can go to the next slide now. So yes, that's we thanks to Blockstart, we collaborate with many locals. I think that was really good from Blockstars that allow you to finance your partners in a way. So we log with loads of them. We log with 7 local partners, and we were able to bring their interest to use our technology on a very, very local and ground-based space. These are some of the companies we collaborate with. And I think that was a really good thing from the Blockstart project. Those was the companies we were collaborating with during the pilot. And if you can see in the pilot, the church is on the right-hand side and the market is really close. So we are selling electricity from the church to the local markets and producing iyas in those rooftops. This is the local church. This is the installation. This is the market, as you've seen in the presentation. This is Elena with Juana. This is the Monger shop. And then another thing that we have achieved during the Blockstart is that, I mean, obviously the local commerce have to pay the consumption in iyas. So thanks to some partners, which is Request Network and Fuse, we will be able to issue bills denominated in iyas, so the local commerce can pay in iyas, even though they're consuming in euros the electricity. So we will learn many things during the pilot, and we found that the project works and is able to be reproduced, and we have a nice walk as we going by, receiving many awards and support. We really thank you, the programs and the people that are believing in us so far. And but the best, I think, is the team that is working with us. We have 2 university professors that deals with the theoretical side of using our community currency, our CTO, and this amazing operation COO, which is Elena. I'm very grateful to have them on board. That's all. Thank you very much. And I'm up to have questions or to explain you how it works and how can it be reproduced everywhere. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Miguel. Just a really quick question to you from our Slido platform. Why would a solar plant owner sell solar energy into Comunitaria instead of selling to the grid for fiat?
That's a good question. And I tell you that he will be willing to sell it to us instead of the grid, because the grid will pay him 4 cents per kilowatt. And it didn't even pay him or her in euros. They will compensate the electrical bill. Meanwhile, we form, which is called a microgrid community. So we are able to negotiate the pricing, and we are selling that electricity to the local commerce for up to 20 cents per kilowatts. So he or she will be 4 to 5 times better selling their electricity in IJAs rather than getting compensated the electricity bill.
Wonderful, thank you. Succinct and to the point. Best of luck in Granada, Miguel, and we hope to see you in Vilnius someday.
Yes.
Without any further ado, I now transition into a live speaker joining us from the audience here, Mr. Vitalijus Likovas, who is a CPO of MetaBlocks, a scalable and flexible metaverse platform. Please welcome Vitalijus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for applause. As nicely presented, I'm representing MetaBlocks, a project, a startup, and I'm acting as a CPO. And our platform is a scalable and flexible metaverse platform. That's one part. However, more important part is that we are building a true bridge between physical and digital worlds. And this is where tokenization and blockchain technology comes in. So we are exploring that unknown space. And we are so close to launching our beta version on Android, iPhone, and a little bit later, web browser extension. So I will not show you tons of slides. I will just show you the short promo video, and then I will explain our business model and what actual market problems we're solving. And a little bit about our team. We are based in Vilnius, Lithuania, and also Stockholm, Sweden. And we have a number of ad hoc people across the globe. Our team is not that large. We are close to 10 persons. We've been working on this project quite some time now. And it's a very exciting time since next week we are not only launching the beta version, but we are also debuting the event in a similar fintech innovation hub in Sweden. And also we're launching our first world-class art gallery. And hopefully we will be able to share that in a couple of weeks' time with the public. So having said that, I would like to ask for a short video just to show a bit. So shortly, just to give more words on what was just presented, as you can already feel that we are B2B player primarily because there is so many general purpose metaverse projects around which are good at building community, and then the struggle is to find the real use case. Definitely there is a huge competition already in that space, so we have chosen to go the opposite way. We're going B2B, and we have focused on 4 primary verticals. Vertical number 1 is art galleries, and here we want to bridge both worlds of physical and digital by not replacing the physical art exhibition, but rather extending it and having it simultaneously done in physical world and digital world. And you as a user, you will be able to buy an NFT art, and at the same time, you will be able to get a physical representation of that art, printed and shipped to you in any physical shape or form, whether it's plexiglass, t-shirts, mugs, or whatnot. The second vertical we're focusing a lot is on events like this. Again, we want to extend physical events and conferences into digital. Since Metablocks is also social and communication platform, so we have all sorts of content sharing capabilities, chat capabilities. You can speak to the whole group. You can do guided tours with a proximity talk function, and so forth. So here we're having a debut, as I mentioned, next week. We're going to be extending an event in Stockholm, and primary audience will be the major retailers. We're inviting over 7,000 retailers next week to talk about the possibilities for traditional physical business in retail space by adopting metaverse technology. The third vertical we're working on is education. And here, with the education part, the barriers of entry are quite high. At the same time, it opens up huge opportunity to be the first mover. So instead of just building a general museum or education purpose gallery, we're focusing right now on aligning with official curriculum with a public education system for history and art lessons. And as soon as we have gone through that, we will start building curated environment where teachers will be able to conduct lessons to children. Here, we will also apply different gamification techniques to encourage children to behave properly, ask questions, answer quizzes, give opinion, and so forth. And then the last, but not least, vertical, as you saw, about, it was the headphone example here. It's just because we have a partnership with this brand, is about extending traditional e-commerce business into how we call v-commerce business. And this is where our web browser extension comes into play. We want to make an ability for the shopper online to seamlessly transition from traditional e-commerce web store to 3D and going back. And what do we do with our partners, those retailers? We are tokenizing all of their personal accessories or apparel, so that when you buy a physical apparel, as it was shown in this demo, you will be able to claim an ownership of that via NFT and also use the digital representation of it in the metaverse environment. So, which is very important for retailers, because for those physical businesses, it opens up completely new revenue stream, which is digital economy, and they're not present there. It's quite hard to go there. So you will be able to buy, let's say, your favorite Jordan sneakers, just a digital representation, and royalty fees will be kicked back to the brand. So this is shortly about our platform. We have built the metaverse part. The blockchain part, we're still in progress. It's not integrated yet, but as I said, we're going with the first beta version next week, and we have quite an aggressive roadmap during this year. And yeah, hopefully to see you somewhere in our space later this year.
Thank you so much. Great to have you in here physically, not virtually. I already have a question coming off Slido for you. Mm-hmm. How do you plan to attract users?
Good one. First of all, we are planning to use Wallet Connect, and we're going to track them via that. Again, since we are experimenting in all those 4 verticals of businesses, so potentially we'll find other ways as well. So we have carefully chosen the first businesses to onboard, and they are helping us to develop the platform, how the interaction should happen, how the customer onboarding should happen, how product onboarding should happen, and how the tracking and data monetization should happen. So yeah, shortly, that's an answer, and we are still exploring that space as well.
Awesome, thanks. And the second question I have for myself this time is, you are a startup with roots in the Baltic region, and even though you operate internationally, what do you think is the state of the ecosystem as you see it today? What is the biggest strength and what is the biggest weakness?
Yeah, I would say the biggest strength is amount of ideas and energy, and being brave to experiment and not, stop with any first obstacle. And I think in our ecosystem, we clearly have this habit of taking an obstacle as an opportunity. So I think that's the main obstacle, the main opportunity and strength, I would say. When it comes to one of the main obstacles, probably is attraction of larger venture capital to get attention and support to the projects, because there is a sea of ideas and it's very difficult to stick out. And for our region, we are famous with being tech savvy and brave to innovate with ideas. So I think attracting even larger VCs and funds to support our ecosystem. So that is one of the obstacles to solve.
And have you got a plan for venture capital attraction?
We're in progress with that, so.
All right, I hope you'll give us an update next time around. Thank you, Vitalius. Thanks for being here in person. I would now like to turn our attention to Munich and Mr. Martin Schäffner, who is here with us today. Martin, I had the pleasure of chatting with you earlier. Awesome that you're connecting. While we pull up you on the big screen and we pull up your slides, let me ask you, how does Germany see Lithuanian blockchain ecosystem?
Very, very good. I've already had some contacts with people from Vilnius, especially in the self-sovereign identity space, and I can only talk good things about it.
Nice, awesome. So next time I hope you're here with us in person. And while we are pulling up the slides, get ready and pitch us your idea. A quick background, which I forgot to give on Datarella, that Datarella is an established provider of blockchain solutions and develops blockchain-based innovations for and with their clients and partners, with a strong emphasis on the supply chain and ICT sector. Now, Martin, I hand it over to you. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very excited to speak to you today and present to you the humanitarian use cases that we've implemented in the last year, or where we are currently about to implement. Quick intro to Datarella. Dom, you really introduced us very well. As you said, we are located in Munich, a blockchain solution provider, and founded in 2013 as a data science company. And since 2016, 2017, fully focusing on blockchain solutions. Here you can see the three projects that I'm going to present you today. The first one is Building Blocks. It's about bankless payments in refugee camps. Then we have Smart Aid, which is our decentralized donation platform. And last but not least, Track and Trust, our blockchain-based supply chain solutions. Let's start with Building Blocks. What you can see here is a refugee in a refugee camp in Jordan paying for her groceries with her iris. Now you may wonder, what does this have to do with blockchain? And the question, the answer behind this is that with blockchain technology, it is possible to cut out the banking system in here. Because previously, these payments always incurred in a regular bank transfer, which generated fees for the World Food Program in Jordan, and which over the time has gotten really, really expensive. And what we have built for the World Food Program is a payment and accounting system where each household has its own, let's say, address or identity with sub-addresses for each of the members. And they then get funded by the World Food Program with like digital currencies to the address, which they then can use to pay with it in the supermarket. And it has been a huge success. It's rolling since 2018 live and still rolling today. And right now we are serving more than 1 million refugees, primarily in Jordan, and saved more than 25 million US dollars in banking fees. This comes from the fact that instead of having banking fees every time you pay at the grocery store, you can cut this down to a handful by just summarizing the transactions on the blockchain itself. This core project we took further and focused on our next area where we implemented a very similar project. It's called the Rohingya project, based in Malaysia. You're probably aware of the Rohingya. It's a minority that were forced out of their home country and ended up finding shelter in Malaysia. But they have struggles getting integrated in the society there. So what they were asking us was providing a payment system where local humanitarian organizations can provide them with like an app, a wallet, as you can see here in the picture, and then go to the stores and supermarkets that support this kind of technology and buy their assets there. And it really helped them, getting settled in Malaysia, and is also a huge success from our side. Our next project is Smart Aid. This is our donation platform that we did together with the U Foundation. And the U Foundation is also a humanitarian organization, private humanitarian organization that onboards projects in specific areas. For instance, here you can see 3 of them where donors can give some money for building wells or for food security or like reduce greenhouse gases and something like this. And we onboarded these kind of projects. And the idea behind this is that a donor then can see what happens with the funds that were donated. We did this by, like when you do a donation, a unique smart contract is being deployed, an ERC20 contract with as many tokens as I think dollars you have spent. These funds will then be transferred from the wallets of Smart Aid to the wallets of the U Foundation to the wallets of the projects, and so the user sees directly, or the donor sees directly where his or her funds are. It's also a huge success because this transparency really gives trust into like the donation, and everybody benefits from it. Last but not least, it's a bigger project, the Track and Trust project, which is our supply chain solution based for rapid response scenarios. And we did this also with Blockstart. So shout out to Joao, he was my mentor back then, and we had great success, but I come to that in a minute. Before that, I just want to emphasize that this project started before we did this with Blockstart actually. And we had a workshop with UK Aid where we faced the question how blockchain technology can make the humanitarian supply chain more efficient. And this is actually a big problem because talking with these guys really opened our eyes with what's going on in case of a like natural disaster, for instance. The problem they have is that there's a lack overview about the stacks of goods on site or in transit or ordered. Especially on site, it's really difficult to manage how let's say how many tents there are still, and do we need to manufacture more, or is it enough, or can we even like take some back? They are mostly completely in the dark with this. And then there are other side factors like high logistic costs, a lot of paperwork, which comes from the fact that since it has to be a very rapid response, there's no time to set up like complex systems and onboard everybody. And overall, no access to accurate information. And as our previous speaker also said, corruption is a topic. But with Track and Trust, we are able to provide a blockchain-based supply chain solution that lets user onboard to the system really, really quickly and document each step of the supply chain itself. Here you can see the 4 entities. The organizing entity is the humanitarian organization, for instance, UK8. Then we have suppliers, companies that, for instance, manufacture the tents, transport logistic companies that bring the tents from the manufacturer to the receiving entity. That's also mostly more than just one. And then the receiving entity, we call it the implementing partner, who receives the goods and does the distribution to the beneficiaries. And we log everything here on the blockchain itself, from the initial agreement to the handovers and how much has given out, so that the organizing entity has always a good overview about the stack of goods in the disaster area. And now we are at the point where Blockstart comes into the game, because we only had a chance to make a proof of concept out of this. So we had a lot of mocked and simplified processes. And in Blockstart, we were able to develop this POC to a real product. So we cleaned up the mockups and implemented them for real. We improved our handover logic based on the results that we got from the POC. We implemented mobile support and multi-tenancy and allowed for an easy onboarding for partners of the organizing entity to the system. And with this success, we were able to request and also successfully get funding from the European Space Agency to tackle the problem of the last mile. Because as you might know, if there is an earthquake, let's say, all the communication infrastructure is most likely not working. So we need a quick and easy solution to deploy these kind of infrastructure on site. And what we are doing here with the funding from the ESA is to deploy local mesh networks between trucks that are delivering the goods in the disaster area, and also having satellite uplink and downlink so that the transactions can be immediately signed and synchronized with the blockchain itself. Thus, also fighting corruption and intransparencies in the supply chain. Lastly, I want to just give you a few lessons learned from our side. The first one is that humanitarian aid is extremely complex, and there are a lot of challenges that a solution has to overcome. But with blockchain technology, we are very optimistic that we can do this together with the last mile solution that we are building right now. And we've talked to a couple of humanitarian organizations, and they are very interested because this quick response is really often very chaotic. And with our solution, it makes it really easy for them to onboard their partners, to get things started immediately, and just come to a better and more transparent solution than they have today. The second lesson learned is that we can cut off a lot of intermediaries, like the banks at the Building Blocks project, due to higher automation and better usability. But also there are still some problems that we are facing, which is identity management, especially in a not closed system like a refugee camp, but more like an open community. It's very difficult to do the identity management without official support, and also communication with the teams in the disaster area or just on site is absolutely crucial to identify the right requirements and come up with a good solution for it. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much for your attention, and feel free to ask any questions.
Martin. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Joao already shouted you out in his presentation as a future unicorn. What are you doing to become a unicorn?
Well, we are trying to improve our processes, talk with our partners. Our product portfolio goes far beyond just humanitarian aid, but humanitarian aid was one of our most successful sector that we've been working in. So we take the results and the success from this sector and try to replicate it also in others.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Martin. Best of luck in Munich. See you here sometime soon. And now we come to the fun part of our evening, which is the open mic. And I know that a couple of people have approached us throughout the coffee break saying that they have something to pitch. But just to make sure, would you please put up your hand if you have something to pitch today? I see one hand. I see two hands. How many more? Do we have we have two hands. All right. Gleb, you were the one who approached me during the coffee shop. Let me welcome you on stage during the coffee break. I apologize, I need coffee. Absolutely, please come over. We're gonna put up 5 minutes here for you, and then we'll come to you just in a second. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gleb. I'm founder of Fair Ecosystem. It's the ecosystem which mixes technologies, obviously blockchain, artificial intelligence and stuff, with culture, education, psychology, and other areas. So since 2017, we created a lot of different projects, notably musical blockchain, which is still world's first artificial intelligence music composer based on the blockchain and psychology. In 2018, we introduced audio NFT concept. In 2019, we introduced gallery box and gallery frame, that's NFT screens. And with that, made first Lithuanian NFT exhibition in the Rotušės aikštė. In 2020, we opened first Lithuanian and probably first in Baltics NFT gallery, Digital Kaunas. What was next? It's like there is a lot happened. In 2021, we presented our modified gallery box at Art Vilnius. There was a wall. We created international events like Metaverse Music Festival, and there was a lot of others. So in 2022, one of our NFTs, which was a remake of probably the first Lithuanian NFT from 2019, was introduced in the permanent collection of the Museum Francesco Carolinum Linz in Austria. And what's now? Now I'm here not to pitch, but to invite everyone to NFT Hackathon, which we're making in the frame of Kaunas 2022. And there will be a lot of fun part, and there will be a lot of education. So if anybody want to come, soon there will be a registration link, and it probably will be reposted in the blockchain community, in the Blockchain Lithuania. And if anybody wants to sponsor that event, welcome, talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gleb. That was fantastic. I was getting much needed coffee, so sorry for the lag. And now to spike up the enthusiasm, may I welcome you, the mysterious stranger on stage. The microphone's here. 5 minutes are yours. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. So my name's Yava, and I work for the government. So yeah, to be precise, Ministry of Culture. And so granted, it's no startup, nor is it decentralized, but it is very well aware of how blockchain is revolutionizing the art world. And there's huge potential there, and we're aware of it. And we're talking not just NFT art, but also VR galleries, AR exhibitions, creative DAOs, and anything really from fashion to cultural diplomacy on metaverse. So again, I'm also not really like Gleb, not here to pitch anything, but just to say that we're very interested at the ministry. We call all of it art tech, and you as blockchain enthusiasts or may very well be part of it. So we want to know at the government, what can we do to help foster this possible ecosystem of art tech? So you guys let me know. I'm very interested. And yeah, let's get some coffee after. That's it.
Yeva, that was awesome. Don't take this away. I have a question for you.
Oh, right.
Could you please expand on how psychology is integrated into your projects? That was the, oh, okay, I apologize. Yeva, would you be so kind and pass the mic to Gleb for this question? I apologize for the technical gap. Yeva, thanks again. Very brave. And Gleb, re-welcome on stage. How is psychology integrated into your project?
Do you want from the beginning?
Can we put up 5 minutes again, guys? No, just kidding. Succinct answer if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so probably the answer for you, but everybody maybe will be interested. So the thing is that I've been conducting audio therapy experiments since 2009, so prior to the creation of the ecosystem. And one of the projects connected with audio therapy and use of technologies in the psychology. So that was the base for creation of the psychological matrix, which became the base for the musical blockchain. So it's all came out of the series of experiments, international experience, and probably that's the shortest answer on that.
That is amazing. And since we're transitioning into the coffee break, I'm sure people will come and find you to speak about this more. Gleb, thank you so much for your courage.
Thank you.
And this has been unexpectedly active, vibrant, and fantastic, for which I thank you. And I also thank for your patience, since we are almost half an hour over time. So we appreciate you being here with us. Oh, one more pitch. Oh, wow. Okay, please come over here. It's a ball. Can we put up 5 minutes in that case?
Sure. So this is me, Armin, my colleague Aidas, and we're actually developers. And we're not here to sell anything for you. But what we do, we are a house of 9 developers. Those create all sorts of dApps. So we have several projects. We have our DeFi platform, which now celebrates 1-year anniversary. And also we recently launched our market maker for NFTs and for ERC20 tokens. And we do all sorts of developments from NFT marketplaces to decentralized finance platforms to DXs and etc. etc. So if you're building some sort of a solving some sort of a problem or building some sort of a dApp, we can also help you out. So I don't know, if you're interested, you can always reach me out on Arminas Tomasautis on LinkedIn, or go to our dApp.mixsum.cash. Mixsum Cash is our DeFi platform. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you're experiencing real jazz in all of its colors. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to say something at this point? Speak now or stay silent forever. Beer time. You got it. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. A couple of housekeeping items. First of all, analytics are important. We in the tech world should know that. Please do us a favor, go to Slido and participate in the final poll about how we've done today. Secondly, let's have a quick look about how far we've gone. The blockchain ecosystem in Lithuania is thriving. We now have a representative. That representative, aptly named Blockchain Lithuania, started activity, registered 6 months ago, started activity 3 months ago, managed to get 100 participants, which you can see on this map on the screen. If you are not yet a member, join it. This is the call of action, call to action in this event. And finally, if you haven't done so yet, please help Ukraine. And with this, I am transitioning out of the internet streaming. I thank all of our participants online. You've been awesome. You've seen a live event with all of that jazz, so thank you for your patience. And best of luck. We see you live in Vilnius at some point. And having transitioned them out,